my channel. My name is Tina Truong. I'm the founder of Shine Consulting, a coaching program for children and families. This channel is dedicated to all things parenting. I'm a mom, a former behaviorist and certified teacher, and I am here to offer some advice. As a parent, you probably fall into one of two categories. You're either team too much or team not enough. Your child either has what you feel to be way too much homework every night and you're up for hours trying to help your child get through their homework every night, or you're the opposite and your child has very little to no homework and you're concerned that your child won't be prepared later in life. I happen to be team not enough. So my son goes to a private school. It's a bit of a hippy-dippy school, very social, emotional focus. And I love that about his school. But I was just talking to a parent the other day and we were expressing a little bit of concern that maybe our kids wouldn't be prepared for middle school. So what is the right amount of homework for our kids every night? The National Education Association gave a standard of 10 minutes of homework per grade level starting in first grade. So after a lot of research, experts feel that kids shouldn't be getting homework before first grade at all. And at first grade, they should be getting 10 minutes of homework every night, and it increases by 10 minutes per grade level. So second grade would be 20 minutes, third grade, 30 minutes, and so on. Okay, so we know that homework can be a really good thing when it's given in the right amount. It can make our kids responsible, accountable. It helps with perseverance, getting through those challenging tasks. And it could really prepare them for life. And it could reinforce some of the things that they learn in school if it's actually quality work. But what are the cons? So if a child has too much homework, which is above the recommended amount that I mentioned, there's a very long list of cons and they could be really detrimental to your child. So let me read some of the cons that I found. A negative attitude about school. So if your child has too much homework, they're going to start to resent it. They're going to resent school. They're going to start hating math, hating writing, hating reading, all of those things, right? Decrease self-confidence. So if they're really struggling and they keep trying, but they're not able to learn something or do well on their homework, and they're getting, negative feedback from their teacher, they can start to become less confident and start to feel like they're really bad at things. Like, I'm bad at math. I've heard a lot of kids say that in the classroom. I'm just bad at math. And that's concerning because they're developing that self-image. Having a poor quality of life, that's an interesting one. So if your child is spending hours doing homework, they're missing out on socializing with friends, connecting with family members, engaging in hobbies that they enjoy, and they could start having decreased social skills. They could develop a high level of stress, which could be an issue for their health. It could cause anxiety and depression, like those sort of major health issues. And later in life, they could start developing poor coping skills. So if they don't know how to feel better and cope with those feelings, they might start doing things like turning to drug use, like marijuana, as teenagers. Also, some homework is just pointless. So I'm going to be honest with you, as a teacher, I didn't give out homework. I taught first grade, but I'd give out busy work sometimes when I needed to do something in the classroom. So some teachers, they feel the pressure of giving homework because they might have a homework policy. So some of it might just be worksheets that are really busy work and they're not really quality work. And your child has like 100, multiplication problems. And it's just like this rote work, repetitive, time-wasting work. There's a lot of research that shows that having more homework does not improve test scores or academic performance. So that's actually really surprising. The first step to helping your child around homework is to figure out why they're having trouble with homework. Is it a motivation issue or is it an ability issue? The way that you handle it totally depends on those two things. If it's a motivation issue, your child is not motivated to do their homework because they're bored by it, and or they have other things that they want to do. They want to go play Minecraft, or they want to go out and play with their friends. You're going to deal with that very differently than if it's an ability issue. It's too difficult for them to do if it's an ability issue. They have the motivation, they're trying really hard, they're not avoiding it, but they can't seem to do it. If it's a motivation issue, you can set up a positive reinforcement system so that your child basically earns something for good behavior, like working hard, persevering through difficult tasks like homework. Something we use in our house is a pom-pom system here. So my son earns a pom-pom for positive behavior like working hard on his homework. And once we fill this up, we do something fun as a family, like go to an arcade together. Something else that I've used in my home with this as my son's is another system where it's basically he moves forward like a game piece. You move it all the way along this maze till you get to the end. And then you can write in whatever reward it is. It might be a Pokemon card. If you don't want your child to earn toys, it could be a fun activity like a movie night with a family or a friend. You could even make the homework activity a little bit more motivating by incorporating like a hands-on type of thing. So if it's like a science assignment, you might do a little science experiment as a family. I know those things take time and effort, but there are ways to make things a little more enjoyable. If it's an ability issue and your child, for instance, is really struggling picking up reading, or their handwriting is super poor, or they're not really understanding math concepts, then you should reach out to your child's teacher and let them know that and ask if they have any concerns in the classroom. And if so, you can talk to your pediatrician and find out if those challenges might mean that your child has some other problem like attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which ADD or ADHD, which is something that my son has. If they're, struggling with focus, they might have dyslexia. If they're having some trouble reading, they might have some fine motor issues if they're having trouble writing, and you could maybe get an occupational therapist evaluation. So making sure that your child is where they should be at, and if not, figuring it out early on so that you can get that support for your child. They may need some tutoring or just extra help. Another tip that I have is to set your child up for success and set yourself up for success as a parent. So what not to do is something that I did. Having your child do their homework like half an hour before bedtime. So my child had a reading assignment and I was having him do it at 8 o'clock and his bedtime was 8:30, thinking that it was the perfect amount of time to fit that in. But really he was tired and I was tired, and we would get into arguments. So making sure that you consider your child's bodily needs, like need for sleep, need for food, making sure they're well fed, or maybe even eating a snack during homework. And making sure that your child's doing homework in a quiet area of the home. So you don't want it to be at the kitchen table and you're trying to cook and other kids are running around. Giving them lots of breaks, like movement breaks in between, or sensory breaks, like playing with Play-Doh or drawing or being outside for a few minutes. Also making sure that your child is given the tools that they need. So if your child is really wiggly like mine, you might want to consider something like a chair band or a wiggle seat to help them focus. Some kids can't completely sit still. They need to move their bodies, and that actually helps them focus. I did a whole video on getting your child to sit and focus, and I'll link that. Communicate. with your child's teacher, with your child, to figure out how your child's feeling and what's going on, why they're struggling. Kids are often happy to tell us how they feel. My son loves to tell me how he feels, and we actually call it a venting session. And he just goes on and on about all the things that bother him in life. If your child can vent to you and tell you why they're frustrated with homework time or with academics or schoolwork, figuring that out and empathizing with them and letting them know that you're on their team and you're actually there to help them. And then communicate with their teacher. I mean, don't be one of those people that like over communicates. I was the teacher. By the way, if you hear that little sound, that's my guinea pig drinking water. Don't be that parent that every little thing your child does, you feel the need to express to your teacher and figure out what's going on. But definitely don't under communicate either. It's really important for your teacher to know that your child is struggling, and they can give you advice, and they know your child really well from spending many hours in the classroom every day with your child. If your child just has too much homework, or they're taking a really long time to get their homework done, your teacher might cut back on them. Really, it's quality over quantity. It's not about tons and tons of busy work that's pointless. It's about giving your child quality homework. So I had a child in my classroom that struggled with writing. So instead of giving him 10 sentences to write, I would have him write 1 or 2 really good ones. And he took his time and really wrote those 2 really nice sentences. By modifying the amount of work he had, it let him decrease his level of frustration, increase his motivation to do well, and he actually did a really good job with his writing. I hope that some of these tips were helpful for you, but if you're struggling with something totally different, or even if you can relate to anything that I mentioned, please add that to the comments so that we as a YouTube community can support one another and give each other feedback. If you'd like individual support, you can feel free to reach out to me on my website, and I'll link that. You can actually book a free 30-minute Zoom consultation with me, and I can give you some advice that pertains to your specific situation and family. So it was great talking to all of you, and I'll see you on the next video.